So sometimes you can just get too close to the trigger, right? And really, it's not you getting close to the trigger, it's the trigger getting close to you, right? And you kind of lose yourself, right? Pay attention to the words I'm saying. You lose yourself in the trigger. What does that mean? What does that imply? Just listen. Listen to what I'm implying. You lose yourself in the trigger. That's the feeling you're feeling. That's the panic. That's the scare. That's the hurt. That's the fear, whatever, everything. Everything that you're feeling through the body, it's just a medium for the mind, by the way. Like, because if you were just a mind, you wouldn't be able to feel anything. So it's like, that's how you can, it's you're feeling consciousness. Right? Or, I guess, the lack thereof it. You know? At least the reaction is very conscious, but the perception that's triggering it is not. But you lose yourself in the trigger. You get what I'm saying? I'm trying to see if you can get it without me saying it. And to the ones who've already gotten it, wait. Because some people might not have gotten it yet. You lose yourself in the trigger. And that is why you are triggered. You lost yourself. Which can create a whole nother reaction. Right? You can have a reaction to a reaction. Perception pops up. Oh, triggered. And now you're reacting to the trigger. Right? So it's very funny. So what I'm implying is that you are not the trigger. This is good news. This is really good news, right? Not for someone who hasn't learned how to deal with their triggers, right? It's taken me about 7 months of really doing this work on such a deep level to where it's like, I can get triggered now and understand that it's not me. So it takes time, right? But it took me 7 months to get out of fight or flight. I was in fight or flight as long as I can remember. And I don't have much of a memory around it. You know, when it started, it's kind of like just chapters of my life are just not there in my mind. I don't know why even saying that, it's giving me anxiety. Well, that was quick. But sometimes you can just get too close to the trigger and you lose yourself. And this is, you know, where a lot of people live 24/7. That's kind of where the fight or flight is you're just constantly triggered. That's what fight or flight is. Like when you're just, I have one of my best friends lives there, and I lived there forever, and I feel for him. You know, it's not fun. It makes you want to, you know. So, you know, being there for an hour, being there for a day, a month, a year, being there for as long as you can remember, it can be very challenging. So my heart goes out to the people, whether it's fight or flight, whatever the state that you're in. My heart goes out to you, you know, and it makes sense, you know, doing that. It makes sense when you've been there and you're experiencing the physics of perception, you know, and comes from that emotion. It can wear you down, you know. I look at suicide in a much different light now because of my perception of life. Like it was a trying soul, you know, who just didn't figure it out this lifetime. You know, I don't feel bad anymore. You know, I used to be like, oh my God, like, you know, I see the parents and, you know, in the whole community and, you know, their hearts are broken and I feel for them. But it's like, they're not understanding. Like they're not seeing that this soul tried. You know what I'm saying? Like they just, it's like, oh, well, he didn't say anything or she didn't say anything. It's just like, yeah, but like you got to see it from how they were seeing it. You know what I'm saying? You got to see it. You don't have to, but it'll help you understand that it's basically the inability to find a way out. And they try. Trust me, they try. and it's unfortunate, sometimes to get, the help that they might need financial resources that they might not have access to. And that alone can add more work that needs to be done. It's basically like an employee who has, papers just put on their desk every day. And the rate at which the employee can offload is slower than the rate at which the company is onloading. That's like, so just think of like, you have like 5 papers on Monday, then you have 10 papers on Tuesday and 15 papers. And it's like, your limit's like 100, right? So you get 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 papers, and then you get it back down to 10. And then, get back 5, 10, 15 papers, and then you get it back down to 15. And 5, 10, 15 papers, and you get it back down to 10, right? That's like you're processing emotional bodies, right? So there's never a buildup of, right? A lot of people who choose suicide go through this inability to keep up with the amount of papers that are placed on their desk. So the rate at which they're placed on the desk is much faster than the rate at which they can deplete them. So it's kind of like this sensation of like, I give up. And it's actually very relieving to the soul, right? And this might be sensitive for some people to hear, but it's just the raw reality, It's just the truth, and hopefully if you've ever had someone in your life that you deeply cared about who committed suicide, this will bring peace to your heart. It will. I promise you. Trust me. Okay. So when they make the decision, right? If you've ever, I think there's this thing that people call it, where it's when they get happy. They're happy because they've made the decision. Does that make sense? Imagine you sitting at work and it's just piling and piling and piling and piling, and you just cannot deal with the physics of emotion anymore. It's broken you down past the point at which you can repair yourself, right? So you want out. So you quit this job. What are you going to experience? Relief. You're going to experience relief. That's what they experience. So just understand that it was relieving for them. As triggering as that might be, it was a relief, So, and when you can really understand this, it can really bring peace to your soul, because you understand that their soul was at peace. That's why they did it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's basically their way of saying, hey, I'm out, I'm tapping out, I'm done. My soul has tried enough, and I just didn't get it right in this lifetime, and not even get it right. I just didn't have the tools to process it in this lifetime, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? That's okay. It's completely okay to me now. So, because it's funny, I didn't struggle with it because I never admitted it. And that was the struggle, was just being suicidal like my whole life, and then never admitting it, and then finally getting to a point where I felt safe enough to admit it. And then that was just a huge release. And then it also came back because of the release, it was like this stream of emotions that was just so overwhelming, but I could feel now. So I checked out, like I was disassociated my whole life. I've just now started associating since late 2024. So I just started actually feeling my body, which is why I wanted to commit suicide, was because I was up here and I didn't want to be up there anymore. I couldn't feel my body. I couldn't feel anything. So it was 29 years of just denying my own reality because my reality got denied. So I learned how to do that very, very well, which allowed me to be successful in sales, and now I'm learning to feel and understanding that it's going to make me even more successful in business, right? But then I got suicidal again, right after I started associating, because the feelings were just so, it was just so new to me, and I didn't really know how to process it and how to handle it. And it became even more overwhelming because now I could feel, which was really trippy. I was like, wait, I thought this was supposed to make me not suicidal, and it made me even more suicidal. And I was laying in my bed. I think I woke up at like 3. I've been getting 3 hours of sleep every night. I try to work 14 hours a day, sometimes 16, just, building this product. And, you kind of burn out with like all of the stress from the clients. Are you going to perform? Just dealing with the physics of perception and emotion. That was very exhausting. So I would crash and take an hour, 2-hour nap, and then get 3 hours of sleep, and then, just wake up and do it all over again. And one day I woke up at 3, and I was awake until like 9. And I was just, it was like this this exorcism almost of suicide leaving my body. But for it to leave my body, I had to experience the most insane amount of suicidal ideation for like what's 3 to 9? Is that 6 hours? And I texted my buddy and I was like, hey man, I think I might do it. And for some reason, I got a lot of peace from it, because I was like, the world won't understand, but I feel like you and someone else will, because you guys know, right? They know a little bit about me, things that I've just not shared with other people. And I was like, you guys will get it. And that brings a lot of peace to me. And I was close, and I just sat with it. And that brought a lot of serenity to the chaos that I was experiencing, because I just felt like a demon was in my body. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. You know what I'm saying? So I'm done. I'm going to tap out. I'm going to check out. And it was just so peaceful. It was so nice. It was absolutely amazing to experience. So I just want you to understand that while that might not be the experience for every person who's experienced suicide, I would assert that it's a large majority, if not all of them. If not all of them. So yeah, this video was not supposed to be about this, but that's what it was about. So we'll post it. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.